Welcome back. Um, so this is my second video tonight. In the first video, I was really basically just welcoming you guys to my channel and trying to give a little um, backstory or insight of what the channel will be about. I failed to mention like we will also have, you know, Bible study. Like I would go over different scriptures or whatever God put on my heart. Again, I gave him my yes, and however he uses me, he uses me. Um, I wanted to talk about. I want to say it may not be my favorite scripture, but it's at least in my top five, and it is Psalms 37, verse 25, and I believe it's David. Um, it reads, "I have been old, and now I'm. I have been young, and now I'm old. Yet have I never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread." And God assures us that He will never forsake us. He will never leave us um, in need. He will never walk away, turn His back. That He have us, and that's our reassurance as a Christian. God is saying, I always will have you. I always will have your back. I always will have your front. I always will have your side. I will never leave you. And that's one of my favorite scriptures because as a mom, you know, sometimes we have to make decisions in life, do I pay my tithes? Do I pay my water bill? Do I pay my tithes? Do I pay my, you know what I'm saying? And in my life, I have had, I have come to that fork in the road where it was like, okay, Lashonda, are you gonna pay your tithes or are you gonna pay your light bill? Like I have literally come to that fork in the road, and I paid my tithes, and so I just want to say that God would never, He would never forsake us. He will never leave us worse than you know like when we came to him, we were in a way, we were dirty, filthy, rotten. You know what I'm saying? He would never leave us that way. He will clean us up, right? Make us uh, Christian men, Christian women. He will do what he needs to do. And so going through trials and struggles and tribulations and you know debts in the family and just so many things in our lives that come up, you right? Divorces. Some people get married, they never think they will go through a divorce. And God is like, I'm still yet here. Like, sometimes He didn't tell us to marry that person, but we did. But even in the midst of a divorce, He is yet saying, I am right here, Lashonda. I am right here. My husband passed away in 2015, just suddenly. Like he was not sick or anything. And so during that whole process, I know it was Him who kept my mind. I know it was Him who kept me going. I know it was God who kept me from losing my mind. I know it was Him, right? Because before my husband passed away, I had lost my mom, lost my sister. So He would not forsake you, right? He would not even walk away from us. We walk away from Him. We decide, oh, I don't want to live that kind of lifestyle. I don't want to. I want to be able to, you know, curse and smoke and drink and do what I want to do. And God is like, no, come. As you're growing in Him, a lot of the things, the baggage that we brought with us, He is taking it off. Layer by layer, taking it off. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that's the struggle, right? we don't want him to take, our crutch. We don't want him to take away what, you know, some of the things that we're doing. If you smoke cigarettes, you don't want to stop smoking cigarettes. That's your guilty pleasure. If you drink, if you know, you know, have a boyfriend and you're having premarital sex, there are just certain things we don't want to lay down. We don't, and the closer you get with him, the more he starts cutting away of all these things that would prevent you from serving him fully, right? There's no way you can walk with God, excuse me, and remain the same. There is just no way. There is no way. There's no way that you can say you are fully invested, that you have given him your yes and you remain the same. There is no way. There is no way that you are praying and reading your word and you're remaining the same. There's just no way. No possible way. I'm telling you, if you are if you are walking with God and you don't see growth in your Christian walk, I think you need to check yourself, because one thing about God, He will not leave you in the condition He found you. He will not. He will add value to your life. He will add substance to your life. He will add happiness and peace, joy to your life. He will calm your mind if you're worried. There is no way you can walk with Him and remain the same. It's no way possible. And if you're walking with Him and you're still doing the things you did when He first found you, then that means you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not praying. You're not reading your word. You're not getting in God's face. You're not laying on your face and crying out. Because some people, they don't want to be helped. And that's not His fault, right? Because He's not going to force you to live a certain way. He's not going to force you to do that. You know, God is a gentleman. He's not going to take anything from you. So if you're still the same, that's because it's free will. Serving God is free will. And if you're still, again, smoking, drinking, cursing, doing those things that you were doing when He found you, free will. And you're not conforming your will to His will. You're not saying, Lord, decrease, let me decrease so you may increase. You're not saying, Lord, your will, not my will, your way, not my way. You're not, that's not what you're standing on. Because if you were, because when you say, God, have your way, He's going to do that. When you say, God, not my will, because my will is doing it my way, haven't helped me in 20 years. Doing it my way haven't helped me in 30 years. Lord, doing it my way is the reason I'm in the condition I'm in right now. Doing it my way. So there is no way that you are walking with Him and you are remaining the same, because God constantly cuts. Jesus is cutting layer by layer by layer by layer of all these things that's hindering you from serving Him with your whole heart, right? We have to, and I know it's a struggle, because a lot of times the body wants what the body wants. If you've been in relationships and or you've been married or had boyfriends and you've been intimate, your body, yes, let's be real. Let's be real, right? Your body craves that. So you have to get with God, and we have to constantly remind ourselves, as men and women. It's just not us that have, it's not just the woman that has to try to not make sure she don't put herself in that predicament. A man do too, because if you are a man and you're serving God, then you can't be indulging in that type of activity. So, that means you can't, you know, you know, back in the day, the older people used to say, if you go out to the movies, if you go on a date, let it be three people, you know, so that they know ain't nothing happening, right? And that's what they used to do back in the day. And because you want to remain holy, right? So, what I'm saying is, it's just not us, it's men too. Like, don't put yourself in that position, right? You take a young lady out on a date, right? Because there's nothing wrong. I feel there's nothing wrong with letting her know you're interested. Like, yes, you might want to hold hands, right? I see nothing wrong with that, but you know, kissing uncontrollably and all this stuff, hey, that sends signals to the body that, hey, something is about to go down. And you can't do that. As a Christian woman, you can't, put yourself in those positions to where you're thinking, oh, well, I'm strong enough to say no. You can't do that, because the next thing you know, your clothes are off, his clothes are off, and you're at home on your knees crying, begging God, Lord, please forgive me. So I feel like we have to set a standard. Not saying it won't happen. I mean, no. Not saying it can't happen. What I'm saying is, we as men and women of God have to set a standard for ourselves to be able to withstand the wiles of the enemy. So, you know, the Bible says, can a man take fire into the bosom and not be burned? No. No. There's no way possible. So a man and a woman can't sit and kiss and rub and hug and all this stuff and it not lead to something. So we have to, it's a decision. It's a decision we make daily, right? It's a decision that we are making, because God will not leave you the way he found you. But serving God is free will. He is not gonna take you and grab you and hit you over the head like a caveman and make you serve him. He's not gonna do that, because he's not that kind of God. He's a gentleman, you know. He's not gonna take anything. It's free will. But you cannot walk with him and remain the same. You cannot. And for example, I could tell you, for me, when I gave my life to God, I found myself wanting to pray. I found myself grabbing my Bible to get in the Word. Again, He will not leave you the same. Wanting more and more of Him, wanting a deeper relationship, a deeper connection. You know what I'm saying? So He will not leave you the way He found you. He will never forsake you in your time of need, in your time of distress, in your time of anxiety, in your time of bereavement. He is right there. A lot of times we call everybody but Jesus. A situation arise, we call everybody but. And that's just, I mean, we call on everybody but Jesus. So if we're choosing to put him in the back of our Rolodex, that's a decision we making. But I would tell anybody, the first number on your speed dial should be Jesus, 911. The first number in your Rolodex, if people still even have those, should be Jesus, right? He should be the first one you call in a 911 situation. He the first one I call. I'm going to call him before I call the police. And that's just the way it is, because I trust him. I trust him with the situation. I trust him with my life. You might call the police and you might get a whole different outcome. He will never, Jesus will never leave you the way he found you. He will never forsake you. but it's a decision that you have to make. And it's one where you're going to have to trust him. And I know trust is one of those things because I struggle with trust. I do. I do. I'm just going, hey, I'm telling on myself, right? Because a lot of times we want to control the situation, and God is like, you don't control this. I don't need your help. You can go over there and have your seat. That's how God is. He like, I don't need your help. I didn't ask for your help, right? When I need your help, guess what? I'm gonna say, hey, come help me. That's how God is. He like, you can go start dinner, because he don't need our help, and so he will fix the situation. He will come into the situation. You know, he will never leave you the way he found you. And for me, I have grown sons. And so I always wanted to make sure that I stay in uh good right standings with God, because anything could happen. I pray covering over my boys every day. But anything could happen where you need to call on God. That's why I say, you know, I call him before I call 911. But as a parent, with school shootings and all this stuff, we need to make sure that we are in good standing with God daily for our children, keep our children covered, to pray over our children, because these people are crazy. I don't know how people, you know, I'm not a hypocrite. Excuse me. I haven't been saved all my life, so I can't judge, you know. What I'm looking at now is I don't know how I managed to live without God. But you know what I can say? What I can honestly say? When when I didn't have my mind on him, he had his mind on me. When I wasn't thinking about him, he was thinking about me. And one thing I know, God have always made a way for me. He have always made a way for me. Always made a way. Do you hear me? I remember, and then I'm gonna close for the day because I don't want to, my time to just run over. But I remember two things I can tell you guys from my experience. When I was pregnant with my second child, women. I know women everywhere who have been pregnant can testify to this. I was exhausted. I came home. I don't know. I must have had groceries. I must have had some extra in my hand. But I opened the door. Put my child in. Let him in because he was like 4, and closed the door. Did whatever and went to bed. Right. The next day, I get up and I'm looking for my keys. I mean, I'm scrambling. I'm turning my apartment inside out looking for my keys. I'm like, let me go see if I left them in the car. But I knew I couldn't have left them in the car if I opened the door, right? But hey, I'm trying to figure it out. Open the door, keys stuck in the door. Now, it was nobody but God that kept no one from coming towards my door to see those keys hanging out my door. No one but God. He protected me and my kid because they could have easily just opened the door. They could have stole my car, everything. Don't tell me what God will take care of you even when you're not doing right. He will take care of you. The second thing, I had just moved to my apartment, and I was getting unemployment, right? I moved in on unemployment. And the job I had where I was going to get the unemployment, They decided to fight it. I had just moved in. So you know that next month rent was gonna be due. I had just moved in and I get the call, hey, the job is fighting the unemployment. We're gonna have a meeting with you and them. I think it was like at 2 o'clock and or 1 or 2 o'clock, something like that. And make sure you answer the call because if you don't answer and if you don't get on the call, then they can go ahead and deny your unemployment. None said. So I got off the phone, and when I tell you, I stood up in my living room and I cried out to God. I cried out to God something terrible. Do you hear me? Something terrible. I cried out to God. And when it was time for our three-way phone call, they didn't show up. So don't tell me God will have your back even when you not doing right. He will have your back. So again, he will not leave you how he found you. God will not forsake you. Whatever the situation is, you give it to him, you pray about it. He will not leave you the way he found you, right? And if you are still in the same condition as when you first got saved, sweetie, you need to go back and you need to ask God to forgive you and you need to stop doing things your way because your way is not leading you anywhere. It's not helping. It's not helping your life. There is no way if you've been walking with God 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, you should still be doing the things that you do that you know are not right. There's no way. So you need to go back and say, hey God, um, I know I've been doing things my way, but it ain't working out. It is not working out. And God, in order for you, for me to have you on my team, God, I know you got to run the ship, because God, he's the captain. Ain't no co-captains, right? And if we riding on his ship, he the only one steering. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he'd be like, you can go on to the Lido deck or go on do shuffleboard or whatever, but steering this ship right here, I don't need you to do that. So we have to allow him to be God. And again, if you are a control freak, I know I know I have my moments. Let's be real, where I want to run stuff or whatever, And he have to humble me. Like either you gonna handle it or I'm gonna handle it. But there's no need of me and you both handle it because maybe you need help handling somebody. I don't need help, right? So just remember that God is God. He don't need your help. He don't need my help. But what he's not going to do is force anything on you. He's not going to force you to live right. He's going to just show you, hey, living right have benefits. Yes, living right have benefits. And the main benefit is, hey, in my time of trouble, in my time of distress, in my time of need, I can call on God and he's going to be right there. Right? He's going to be right there because you've been living right. You've been doing what you're supposed to do. There's no way he will forsake you. There's no way you living right and he see you in a need and he gonna just be like, oh, I'm fishing today. You call me later. That ain't him. That is not God. That's not his character. That's not who he is. He's a good, good father. And he's gonna make sure everything that we need, he provide. If he's the one driving the ship. Because he's not gonna be the co-captain and you the captain. That's not gonna happen. Please hear me. He would not be the co-captain and you the captain. So if in your life you've been the one running the show, you know, oh, I come and go, I do this, I do what I please. Well, that's why you know, need I say more, because he's not gonna. sitting across his legs while you drive his ship. That ain't happening. And let me and just a little FYI, me and God on the boat. I want him to be the one directing that boat. Me and God in a plane. I want him to be the one driving that plane. In my time of trouble, in my time of need, I I need him to be like, okay, oh, you need me. Cause some situations, guys, you have to really say this is a job for Jesus. We can't fix everything. I'm sorry, I'm making it shake. We can't fix everything. We cannot. I know some of us think we're Superman, Superwoman, but we're not. We're not. And we can't fix everything. Sometimes that's a job for Jesus. I'm gonna leave you with that. Please know if you are still in the same spot when he found you, it's because you choose to stay in that spot. Because he's pushing you along. But when you go back to, oh, my will over his will, he okay, because I can't, you know, he could make us, but he chooses not to. It's free will. So just think about that. Whatever you're going through today, whatever situation you're going through, sorry, just spit. Whatever situation you're facing, just know, right? It will be way better if you give to God. You know, if you're in a chaotic situation, fall on your knees and just cry out and say, God, forgive me. Father, forgive me. Father, forgive me for all my sins. Father, come into my life. Father, be my Lord. I confess with my mouth that you are Lord. I welcome you into my heart. I can't do it by myself, God. I can't raise these kids by myself, God. I can't. I can't live. I'm just having too many issues, God. I need help. And see, don't he come through for you? Because he will never forsake you. He will never leave you where he found you. But this relationship, it's a two-way thing, right? It's a two-way street. Your relationship with God, my relationship with God, it's a two-way street, right? He's not gonna just drag you and make you no. And you shouldn't want him to do that. So think about it. And if you have said, if you fallen on your knees and you say, God, forgive me, come into my heart, Lord, if you said that, start living your life like you know you said that prayer and like you know he heard you. Okay? Jesus love you, and so do I. Amen. Have a good night.